Hey everybody, welcome back to another video, as there's going to be plenty of Hogs gameplay going on in the background. I actually find these videos really fun to make because I don't need to be focusing on any specific topic in relation to the gameplay. I can just pick a level, play it, and enjoy it for what it is, you know? It's the little things. Anyhow, as you can probably tell from said video title, today we're going to be touching on the idea of reincarnation and specifically the fear that comes with that, because the most obvious part of that fear is attached to one's ego, attached to the role that you play, attached to the experiences that you've had in this lifetime, the knowledge that you've gained, and the memories that you have then stored in your memory bank that is your brain. The key thing to note though when we're talking about reincarnation is that death is not the end of consciousness, but the thing that people struggle with the most is letting go of that ego, of letting go of all that experience and knowledge and just everything that comes with your current lifespan, you know? So when you die, you know, with everybody that's dying in the world right now, there are many babies being born at the same time. As death brings the end to one life, birth brings the life to another. And as obvious as that statement is, it just shows that death is not the end of consciousness. It's just the beginning of a new existence, of a new role to play. It is, in other words, the universe starting again, letting you experience itself all over again. And when we contemplate that now, you do have to ask the question, well, why? Why can't I keep all this knowledge? Why can't I maintain this knowledge that I've gained and experiences that I've had in relationships and jobs and everything in between that? My main issue is more on the enlightenment side of kind of realizing where the goalposts are in this game, you know, realizing how it all works and not wanting to let go of that understanding. But I think that's part of the beauty of consciousness. I've mentioned it in a previous video just about how the universe needs a forgettery in order to have a memory, because if you were able to remember all of your past lives, you would be like a piece of paper that has been drawn on infinitely and there is no space left. Because what you really need to go deep down into is within your life right now. Think about all the things you love. It could be a food, it could be a person, it could be a location, all those kinds of things. Yes, you love them, but if you had all of time to play with, wouldn't you get tired of them? Wouldn't you get bored of them? Wouldn't you want a way to renew that feeling of seeing or being with that person for the first time? That is why I think impermanence is benevolent, because it's needed. If we didn't have that, we would become bored. And again, it's relating back to another thing that we've touched on, in that if you were God with all that sort of time, if you had existence to play with, you could create anything, do anything, have that kind of sandbox mentality as you would in something like Gary's mod, but, you know, the universe, you would eventually get bored. After fulfilling all of your desires and wants, you would look for some kind of surprise, and that is what consciousness is. That is why death exists, but death isn't the end. Do you remember as a kid when you would look up at the sky and you'd see the sun and the clouds and the sky was bright and colourful, when colours had more vividness to them, when the stars were spectacular, when everything felt so alive? That is what is craved, I think, in death, is that reset and return to the wonderment, I guess, of the universe, to the discovery of all these things. It's interesting too, because everybody sees themselves as I. You know, consciousness, as long as there is consciousness in the world, there will always be an I. You will always think of yourself as the center of the universe of existence. As I'm sat in this room right now, speaking into this microphone, you know, my perception of the universe in this room, you know, I think of myself as the center of things, even though I know that I'm not, even though I am an I regard myself as well, in a way I'm kind of wearing a mask over a mask being Pinstripe when that's not actually my name. That's a persona on top of a persona, but we don't need to get into that again. Either way, the fear factor that comes with reincarnation is purely that of letting go of that I. And as soon as you do that, as soon as you dive into the reasoning behind that fear, of really diving deep into, you know, the things you'll miss, the things that you don't want to let go of, the reasons why you don't want to let go of them. But again, put yourself in the shoes of an eternal, spiritual, immortal being that has all that time to play with. And soon you'll find that the idea of being able to forget that and start anew is actually kind of refreshing. I mean, take the concept of a video game where the only thing that you can have is being able to load the save file that you've been playing. That's all you can do. You can't reset, you're only allowed to load that save file. How boring would that be? You're not allowed to start a new game, but as soon as that switch is turned on, when, okay, you do in the process of starting that new game then forget how to play the whole thing again, but that then renews that entire experience, you know? When we talk about the why part as well, as I mentioned earlier, why is it that reincarnation exists? The idea of a surprise and learning seems to be the key part of it, in that if we are all coming from the same source of life, we're learning how everything was made, even though we're the ones that made it, which again is also kind of crazy. Going back to the idea of starting a new life as well, I'm just excited about what that brings, you know? I have interests in this life, of course, you know, playing IL-2 a lot. I quite enjoy shooting down planes, so maybe my next life will be in World War II. I know that sounds really grim, but just from the perspective of viewing all of existence, because we're not talking about, you know, reincarnation. You will continue into the year, if you die now and you get reborn, you'll continue from the year 2025 onwards. I mean, that may be the case, you might be able to choose that, who knows the parameters, but even so, if the entire span of existence is able to be selected from, again, I'm thinking of this purely as like a video game in a way, then that's pretty interesting. We touched on religion in the previous video, but it does, again, kind of sway that idea that we've all been brought up to think when it comes to death, of being afraid of it, of having this sort of eternal nothingness, which makes no sense on so many levels, because how can there be nothing? How can there be no sensation of anything? Because if that were possible, then there would have to be something, right? You can't have nothing without something. It is a healthy thing to ponder the idea of death, the idea of what's next, the idea of reincarnation. And yeah, they are big, scary things when you are very busy clinging to the existence that you currently have, the ego that you hold, the role that you play. But my advice would be to just go into those fears, go into the why, go into the how, and just ask yourself what it is that you're most afraid of losing and why that is. The universe is connected in such complicated ways that many of us don't even understand or observe on a day-to-day perspective, but will become clear, I suspect, as death approaches and we shift into the middle zone, whether it be purgatory or heaven or whatever you want to call it, but just to gain a greater understanding. I don't know, I've heard a lot of things, I've read a lot of things, I've seen a lot of sort of personal experiences from videos online of people that have had near-death experiences and stuff like that, and have kind of gone over to that side and have looked through all of their past memories and have just, there's been no judgment, there has just been an understanding of how everyone and everything within those memories felt in that given moment. And I think that's an important thing to ponder on as well in whatever it is that you do day to day, the people that you interact with, whether it be other human beings or animals or insects. Just think about how those things might be feeling under any given situation, depending on the actions that you do and or perceive. Because yeah, as I say, I feel like everything is interconnected, and I don't think there's any kind of comeuppance as far as, you know, if you squash a bug accidentally, but there will be some kind of remembrance or understanding of the feelings involved during that occurrence at some point in the afterlife, maybe. I don't know. It is a lot to think about, but like I say, it is healthy to do so, and I am greatly awaiting what you have to say in the comments below on the subjects that we've talked about in this video. What is it that you fear most about reincarnation? Do you look forward to it? Because personally I do, purely in the sense of being able to reset and see where life takes you. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on everything in the comments below, and I will catch you guys later for the next one.